Backstage to Iceploration. My name is Swenson. I'm one of the directors of the entertainment department, director of creative services, and I also have the very proud title with this show as actually one of the producers for the show. You've seen the show, so you know what happens out there on the ice. What people don't realize is what it takes back here to make out there happen. This is where all of the scenery pieces have to come. They all have to live. They come on and off from here. And you may notice that there's a lot more room out on the ice than there is back here. So what we've had to do is we've had to take full advantage of absolutely every square inch of space. So not only are scenic pieces sitting here on the deck, but if you look up, you'll also see that we have some of our other friends and cast members hanging overhead. We have the baby elephant, of course, over here. The mama elephant is hanging over the Serengeti tree. And then we've got a couple schools of fish on back there. Same thing goes on the other side of the stage, on stage right. You'll notice that we have not only Austin's bedroom, but also you see the eel just kind of hanging out up there. And if you look really far upstage, you'll see the rigs that actually hold the meerkat wagons, upstage right. With the meerkat wagons, you can see the rigs, the meerkat wagons down here, but the rigs, you see the brown metal structure up there. So when the meerkat wagons come off, they get hoisted up above everybody's heads and get out of the way so that the next scenic piece can come on. You saw the choreography on the ice. There's just the same amount of choreography going on back here. You guys okay? Same amount of choreography going on back here, making sure that everything moves in exactly the right way. I like to equate it to one of those number puzzles where you slide everything around and you have to do it in exactly the right sequence in order for it to happen properly. There are 7 technicians backstage during the show. So 20 cast members and then 7 technicians back here, and 2 dressers who keep everything flying in, moving on, sliding around. And one of the things that we discovered in the process of doing the show is, unlike most theatrical experiences where you will slide the scenic piece off and then slide the next one on, we kind of do it in reverse. We slide one on to make room for the one that's coming off. So we have to, because of our limited space back here, we have to make that adjustment. You've met some of the puppets. This is one of our puppeteers. This is Daniel Smith, and our frog puppet, who we lovingly call Frog.
Frog.
And he's the smallest puppet in the show, if you don't count some of the coral. The coral is kind of tiny, but smallest puppet in the show, and then of course the largest is the mama elephant hanging up above us here. Daniel was actually in the show you just saw, so he was one of the puppeteers. He was one end or the other of the elephant. I'm not sure which.
Out at the back.
You were the back of the elephant.
Back.
That's such a proud thing to put on your resume. So, does anybody have any specific questions about what some of the stuff you've seen? I kind of gave a brief and quick overview. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
So all the props and everything, was it developed just for the show?
Yes, everything was developed specifically for the show. The scenic pieces that you see were designed by Robert Little. And the puppets that you see were designed and built by a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Thorpe. And so these were all built specifically for this show. They are all unique to us. Just to kind of fill in the details on some of the other folks who were involved with the design and the creation of the show, the musical score that you heard throughout, the wonderfully emotional musical score that you hear throughout the entire show is original, was written for the show, written by a gentleman by the name of John Baker. And lighting designer for the show, who kept us looking all in the right places and kept all the right parts of the world the right color. An incredibly talented man who we're really lucky to have as part of our SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment team. Our corporate director of theatrical services, a guy by the name of Chris Lau. He did our lighting design. Costumes, those vibrant, remarkably bright sometimes costumes, were designed by a gentleman by the name of Greg Barnes. Greg is a Tony Award-winning costume designer in New York. Currently has a show running on Broadway, as a matter of fact, that he did the costumes for. A show called Follies with Bernadette Peters, which is currently running now with his costume designs. He also did the original costume designs for Drowsy Chaperone, Legally Blonde, Flower Drum Song, as well as multiple other ice shows and touring shows as well. So he's a pretty good guy to know.
What was the name of the show you said he currently had running?
Follies. Follies is currently running. Any other questions? More than happy to answer anything about the show. I know what I always forget to talk about. The most invisible element of the show is the ice itself. What you're looking at right now is approximately 4 tons of ice. It's and it's in one big chunk if it's working properly. No, it's one big chunk of ice out there. 4 tons, about 10,000 gallons of water. It's maintained. There's as much maintenance goes into taking care of the ice as pretty much anything else in the show. They use a Zamboni like you've probably seen at hockey games or on other ice rinks. They shave the ice by using scrapers and things like. Is that the official term, Brenda? Scrapers? Oh, good. The official term. Good. Yes, they use the scrapers. I sound official now. They use scrapers for it. They use water, of course, to smooth out the surface. But as we say over and over again, you can't have a great show without great ice. So we have to constantly maintain it. It gets thicker and thinner, and if it gets too thick, you have to shave it back because it starts to melt on the top. That's something I just recently learned in doing an ice show. So the other thing that it was strange to me and really ingenious is I'm used to working on solid stage floors like we're standing on now, not on ice. So when scenic pieces come out, you have to find ways to mark where they go. I call them spike marks. If you look out on the ice right now, you'll see little black corners and X's and that sort of thing. Those are the spike marks, but how do you keep them on ice? On a stage, you put down tape or you put down paint. In ice, you actually have to carve out the spike mark, fill it with paint, then fill it with snow, and freeze it over. So it gets locked actually within the ice. So it doesn't go away every time a skater goes over. Any other questions? I know I'm the last. I'm your last group, so you've probably been asking all these questions. You've got all these. I could ask you questions about the show, probably.
Well, how about your favorite scene? I'm trying to see what everybody's is.
Oh gosh, that's like saying what's your favorite kid. I have to be honest. It's very difficult for me, and I'm going to sound like I'm sidestepping the question, but I'm not. It is very difficult for me to pick a specific scene because they all work together so well for me. I do have certain moments within the show. There's little things that I don't know whether everybody catches or not, but little things that just make my heart soar. I love the transition into the rainforest. I think when you go from the star field to the dewdrops on the leaves, and then that flies out, and you've gone from this barren, stark, white Arctic to this lush, green rainforest, I think that's a very exciting moment in the show. In Great Barrier Reef, one of my favorite moments in that scene is when the coral reacts to the skater skating by. You'll see little moments where on the big coral wagons, you'll see little parts of the coral that will retract and then slowly come back out, as real coral does on a coral reef, and that's thanks to our puppeteers like Daniel. I think that is a very special moment in the show. I think that of course the acrobats are exciting and splashy, and the skaters, not just the principal skaters who I think are top notch, but I think even the chorus skaters, they all have their shining moments. In the storm section leading into the Arctic, they all have kind of a step out moment where they get to strut their stuff on ice, so to speak. And that was intentionally designed so it would be a little bit different from your standard ice show where the chorus is the chorus and the principal skaters are the principal skaters. We've kind of put them together, and I think made something that's pretty heartwarming. And then of course the other element that I just love in the show is the music. I think the music really drives the story. I think it drives the emotional content, and it was very exciting to work with John to help develop that what you end up hearing today, that wonderful sort of sonic journey. And I know it was a very long answer for a very simple question. It would have been much easier if I just said, "Oh, the first one," but but I can't do that. I'm too invested in the show, and the show is so multi-layer and gives our guests so many opportunities to return and see something new each time that it's difficult to give a simple answer to such a complex show.
What's some of the attention to detail that we probably noticed the first time that we should be looking for the second time?
Well, if you didn't see the coral, watch for it because it's really fun. There are, little things like when you see the mama elephant, for example. Yes, obviously her shape and size says elephant, but what people don't necessarily realize is the amount of detail that goes into actually airbrushing her skin to give it texture and to make it look more like a real elephant. I've heard people say when she walks on, "Is that a real?" Just for that fleeting moment, because under the lights she has a depth and a texture really that is painted so that it looks quite realistic. What are some of the other little things? Something that it's not really a detail, but I think it's a fun little fact, is with all of the fish puppets, like the eel and the schools of fish, we wanted to create that that sensation that they were swimming through water. And you can do some of that with using air to move them through, but it's much more effective if you use helium. So all of the fish puppets and the eel are filled with helium, so they have a neutral buoyancy, and as you move them through, they actually swim within the air around us. So that's one of those cool little details that people don't necessarily know and wouldn't even see when they saw the show, but might be kind of fun to think about. Because yes, they get filled up between shows to make certain that they have the right level of helium. Barb, do you have another question?
Yeah, kind of like going on that, what you said about the coral, how much research went into actually finding out these little details and bringing them to life?
You know, that's an excellent question. Even though we didn't necessarily try to make this a nature documentary, everything that you see in the show was inspired by something that really happens in nature. The coral is, we made the color a little bit more vibrant in order to do the blacklight segment that we do there, because there is blacklight in that scene which enhances all the color. But things like when you're in the rainforest, you have we call it the Bugsby Berkeley number, where you have all the leaf bugs come out and dance in a circle with the fans and all that. International symbol for fans, I guess. Those are actually based on real rainforest creatures that are really those colors. There is a green and a pink leaf bug, and they're just that vibrant. That was the kind of research that Sherry Lynn Draper actually did, who is our director and writer, and she found very specific animals that she wanted to emulate. So if you look, for example, the cheetah, if you look at the cheetah costume, the cheetah has closed spots, because if there were open spots, it'd be a leopard. So you have to, something I learned, again, just recently. Very recently, as a matter of fact, but it's that kind of detail, like the markings on the face for him, for the cheetah. It's that kind of detail that I think brings a richness to the show, even though we're taking it to a fantasy level. But they all do represent real things in nature.
So, did you guys update the projection systems for this show?
Yes. In a simple answer, yes. It is a new projection system, and there's actually two projectors that are used in the show. The main projector projects on the proscenium, the legs, and upstage, and a secondary projector up in the balcony actually projects on the ice. We also used something that's new for us, and that is video mapping, which allows us to project on specific scenic pieces and design the actual content so that it travels from one piece to another. Another one of those cute little moments that I love is when the birds fly across in the Serengeti. When the birds actually fly out from behind the acacia tree and fly across the set. I think that's really neat. And that's just a projection. Unlike the real birds that fly later. Any other questions? What a knowledgeable group. Great. Well, thank you guys so very much for coming to Iceploration. I hope you enjoyed the show. We really have. It's been a great opportunity for those of us who have worked on the show to put it together and to work with such incredibly talented people and dedicated team members. And I'm hoping that our guests appreciate it as much as I know I have appreciated being part of it. And I think they will. I think they're in for something very special and real. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.